I'm joined now by longtime confidant and senior advisor to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Mark Regev. And Mark, I very much appreciate your time. Sorry to be speaking to you under these circumstances. You heard Yoni Asher there. I mean, his entire life is gone in his home. I mean, you know, this is children's toys and a pink monkey, and there's no children. And how a person even can endure through such pain and fear and loss is incomprehensible. Is there anything you're able to tell us, Mark, now that there's been one hostage video, about your knowledge as to the safety of what you say are 199 hostages being held in Gaza?
So I think what we all can learn from this terrible, terrible, shocking story from that father is that we understand who we're up against. And when President Biden and my Prime Minister talk about an ISIS-type terrorist group, it's not just words. This is the reality. They are brutal, inhumane killers who target the innocent. Why on earth could anyone with any sense of humanity kidnap young infants, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old? This has to outrage everybody. This isn't about Israel and the Palestinians. This is about humanity against people who are so barbaric in their behavior that they are, as President Biden said, they are sheer evil.
Is there a way, Mark, given, as you say, that this is not about Israel and the Palestinians? Obviously, many around the world do see it as about Israel and the Palestinians. But if it is not about that, if it is specifically about Israel and Hamas and the people who perpetuated this barbaric, horrible crime, is there a way for you to defeat them without putting thousands and thousands of IDF troops in Gaza?
So we might have to. And my own daughter has been called up for national service. She's a reserve officer in the IDF. She actually raced back. She was on holiday in Europe and raced back to volunteer. And her call-up notice came as she returned. And she's like tens of thousands or more of young Israelis who understand the threat we're facing. They've seen the barbarity of our opponent. They will risk their lives to protect our country.
Mark, we have met so many of them, and it is incredible, their bravery. Many who had finished their reserve service still coming back in. But when you say we might have to, is it still your hope? Is it still the goal of what seems to be heated negotiations now and over the next few days, that you could avoid such a ground incursion?
I cannot, and I apologize, but I cannot go into the Israeli military strategy ahead of time. We will surprise Hamas in what we do. But I can tell you our goal is clear, and there's going to be no wavering on this whatsoever. We will destroy Hamas the way ISIS was destroyed in Syria and Iraq. We will crush their military machine, we will dismantle it, and we will take apart their political structure. We didn't want this war. We didn't start this war. It was forced upon us. But we will finish this war with a new reality in Gaza, a reality where Gaza will no longer be this enclave run by a brutal terrorist organization.
So, Mark, you talk about the humanitarian fears, and, you know, we have a producer, Ibrahim, who lives in Gaza, and he's got a 7- and 11-year-old child. They have been trying to make their way south, right? Their children looking out, bombs coming down, the sounds and the horror and the fear. Civilians are dying. Are you committed? Are you able to commit to there being real humanitarian relief coming in from Gaza? And I separate that even from opening a border in a way that would allow people out, because I understand that's a complex issue, related but separate. Are you able to commit to aid coming in?
100%, and we want that to happen. But I want to tell you two things that happened just while Americans were asleep over the night. One, yesterday, as CNN reported, there were truckloads, tankers of petrol that were sent in for humanitarian reasons to help, so there'd be fuel for the generators in Gaza's hospitals. We know for a fact, and it was actually reported, that some of that fuel was stolen by Hamas for their war machine. They are the people with guns They are the people who have the power inside Gaza, and they have no qualms whatsoever about stealing materials that are meant for the innocent civilian population of Gaza and siphoning it off for their war machine. And that's what happened yesterday. So I think what we need to establish a mechanism so there'll be safeguards, again, that sort of thing. There's no point the international community coming to support the people of Gaza if it's going to just be siphoned off and taken away by Hamas. The second point you have to know is that we had agreed and arrangements were made for the exit yesterday of dual nationals, people with foreign passports. It was all agreed that they can leave, and at the very last moment, Hamas blocked the Rafah border crossing, as if to say, we are holding these foreign nationals as hostages, just as they're holding the 200 Israelis, just as they're holding the civilian population of Gaza as a human shield. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised by Hamas's behavior, whether it's with the dual nationals or with the oil. That's who they are, and that's the brutal enemy we're up against.
Mark Regev, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. A senior advisor and confidant to the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here in Israel. Poppy and Phil, back to you.